You've caught me in Wales with the Alfa Romeo 4C Spider. £65,000 of Italian gorgeousness. Look at it. Now, if this doesn't arouse you, nothing will. Nothing. About 900 kilograms this car is made from a carbon fibre tub in the middle, which weighs only 65 kilos. And it's got a 1.75 litre engine that produces about 235 brake horsepower. That means it's fast. 0 to 62 in about 4.5 seconds. So, as you can see inside, you can see the carbon fibre tub that you and your passenger sit in. It's a very, very basic car. The air conditioning and the radio are no-cost optional extras because it is made to be as light as possible. That's how that weight has been cut down. Odd-shaped steering wheel, I think you'll agree. That takes a little bit of getting used to. There's no power steering as well, so that can be a bit tricky, especially when you're manoeuvring the thing, but you get used to it. Very, very good seats, I must say. It's been quite comfortable so far. And just in case you didn't know, the engine's mounted in the middle like a proper sports car as well. Oh, and the roof. Not needing that today, luckily. So yes, there we go. The Alfa Romeo 4C Spider, £65,000 of Italian. Ugh. Every time we get a sports car with a roof that comes off, this happens. Rain. The apocalypse happens every single time. I'm getting flashbacks to Cornwall right now and being in that catering 420R again. But anyway, yesterday we had a really, really good day. So it's really bright and sunny. We got to do everything that we wanted to do. We drove it out to the mountains. We drove around some country roads. We had a really good time. Today we had more filming planned, and then the weather decided that no, not allowed. Banned from filming today. I'm just going to see how it goes, really. But yesterday we had a really, really good time up in the mountains and stuff. The car drove actually quite well. It's not as bad as what some reviews would have you think. The steering is slightly unpredictable and slightly scary at times, but as long as you concentrate and you're on the ball, I think it's all right. It drives quite well. The comfort was going to be a concern for us, I think, but actually we've been fairly comfortable so far, I'd say, Kenny.
Yeah, definitely.
Although I did have quite bad backache last night, but that's mostly because I'm not Italian and therefore I don't fit in this car properly. So when I drive, I have to get down nice and low, and my back kind of doesn't really slot in properly.
You're not set up straight, are you?
No.
No.
I can't sit in the 4C straight because I'm just looking at the top of the windscreen up here otherwise. But other than that, yeah, I actually quite like this car. It's not brilliant. I'll give them that. It's not brilliant, but it's an event and it's good fun. And actually, the engine's quite good. I quite like this engine. It makes a load of good noise. It produces plenty of power. The turbo boost is silly, and I always like silly turbo boosts. And if they could just do something with the steering, I think we'd be a lot closer to a sports car that would actually be recommendable. So it could be good for mods, we think. If you're one of those people who likes to buy a new sports car or supercar and mod it yourself, there's definitely room for a nice, big, saucy exhaust, I think. But the steering is the biggest issue, I think. I can live with everything else in this car. The slightly, I don't want to say dodgy because it's not dodgy. The gearbox is a bit frustrating sometimes. But if you run it in manual mode, most of the time you can pretty much live with it. But the steering is the one thing that just bugs you all the time. This car can actually go very, very fast. It does 62 miles an hour in 4.5 seconds, but you never really feel like you want to drive it that fast because the steering doesn't really give you the confidence. And that's a real shame because this car has got potential. You know, we're sat in a carbon fibre tub. It's mid-engine. It's got a very powerful engine. It's very, very lightweight, 900 kilos or so. It's got all the right ingredients, but it's just not quite there. But equally, it's not as terrible as some of the reviews on the internet would have you say. So I think this car is very much going to be one of those cars, if you like your sports cars, you're going to have to drive it. You're going to have to drive it and try and work out if there's something you can do with it, or if there's something that you like about it, or something that you can live with or not live with. Because as much as all the reviews on the internet say it's okay or it's terrible, I don't think anyone said it's brilliant yet. I think they'd be wrong to say it's brilliant. Well, yeah, King would say it's brilliant, but you know what King's like. Go and drive it yourself and find out, because the reviews can say one thing and you might think another. I know at least of one other motoring journalist who says that this car isn't as bad as what people have said in the past as well. And I believe, I've heard from Italy, King, I've heard from Italy that the Spider had some subtle revisions to the steering and suspension that the coupe didn't.
To make it better or worse?
To make it better.
Oh, okay.
So it's had some changes that are not official changes. So obviously we haven't driven the coupe, so we don't know what that's like. But I do like this car. I feel like I shouldn't like this car, but I do like this car because it's bloody gorgeous, it's overpriced, and it makes you smile, even though it winds you up sometimes, which is a bit like an Italian woman, actually. If anyone's got an Italian woman out there, they can be a bit annoying sometimes.
Well, very much similar to the sentiments that John has already expressed. Yeah, this is a more than acceptable car. I would go slightly further than that, in so much that I've had an absolute blast with this. I know that obviously John's thinking from a purchaser's point of view as to what would be shaking the camera doesn't help John.
No, that's me saying yes in camera language.
Oh, okay.
So everyone at home goes, I'm going, yes.
Right, okay. So, yeah, so obviously John's looking at it from Joe Public's point of view, whereas I'm looking at it from what an opportunity this is to drive a lovely little sports car. And quite frankly, I can honestly say I've had a fantastic time with it this weekend. As an Alfa owner, I would say that it's fantastic, and you really need to drive one. You can forgive all of the silly little idiosyncrasies that John's already mentioned. The steering issues that he claims are there. There aren't any issues. I don't see them anyway. But then I'm biased and I'm not looking for them. Don't disagree, John. This is my video, not yours. But yeah, John's absolutely right. If you run it in manual, it's just a little bit better with the gearbox. Not to say that the automatic isn't good enough if you're just cruising around of an afternoon on a Sunday, or probably on a Tuesday or Wednesday if you can afford a car like this. Then the automatic will do you absolutely fine. But yeah, if you want to get the best out of the performance, definitely switch into manual and just using the paddles. Just gives it that little bit extra. I don't think I've got much more to say, really. I like it more than John, but John doesn't dislike it, so I think that's a result.
And it is a nice place to sit, actually. I will say, for £65,000, I would quite like to not be able to pull off these controls with my bare hands. But it's an Alfa, innit, King? That's what you're meant to do, innit?
It's meant to be a bit rubbish.
What, for 65 grand?
Look, if I had 65 grand lying around, I'd probably not want to spend all of it on this, I'll be quite honest. But if I could get one of these for 45 grand, boom.
Alfa, are you listening? 45 grand, Alfa.
But that's not how to make money and run a company. So this is why I don't run Alfa Romeo. Or in fact any company. So, in summary, it is what it is. It's a carbon fibre tub with a lot of fancy styling and a nice engine that goes pretty fast. But yeah, everything is pointed at the driver.
That's true.
And
I like that as well.
While people will probably say, oh, well, that's because it's a driver's car. True, but there's probably a large element of the fact that if it wasn't all pointed at the driver, both John and I would be bashing our legs against all the centre console repeatedly.
Yeah, there's not much room, is there?
But, hey, it's part of the fun of having an Alfa.